In your heart there's a place, a magical space where it all begins. With your mind as a guide, you light up inside and it starts to spin. Just close your eyes and dream of things to come. In dreams we make tomorrow a brand new world, a shining star. A new creation, it's all about you. A celebration.
Here now to tell you about it is Walt Disney.
Welcome. I guess you all know this little fella here. It's an old partnership. Mickey and I started out the first time many, many years ago. We've had a lot of our dreams come true. Now we want you to share with us our latest and greatest dream. That's it, right here. Disneyland.
In July of 1954, Walt Disney's dream of building his amusement park known as Disneyland had finally come true. Construction on Disneyland started on July 16, 1954, and astonishingly finished almost a year later by one day, on July 17th of 1955.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome. Disneyland is your land. Here age relives fond memories of the past, and here youth may savor the challenge and promise of the future.
During the early planning of Disneyland, Walt wanted to have a side street extension to Main Street USA that would include an old schoolhouse, an old church, and a haunted house attraction. Time and financial problems unfortunately prevented this area from being built, but 1 year later after the park opened, Walt announced plans for an expansion of Main Street called Edison Square. This new area would sit at the end of Main Street on the right side of the hub. The town would have been a more urban, residential street compared to the Main Street shops and utilities. Edison Square would present the story of the way in which the light bulb, invented by Thomas Edison, has influenced the growth and development of America. Edison Square is the story of that era, the birth, the growth, the development, and the future of electricity. General Electric was to sponsor the area and the attraction by the name of Harnessing the Lightning. Harnessing the Lightning would have been a 4-act theater show that discussed the history of electricity in the American household throughout different times in American history. Starting off in the late 1800s, then to the early 1900s, then to the current day mid-1950s, and then finally somewhere set in the far future. The show would work in which the audience would sit down in one theater and watch a scene of the show, get up, and walk to the next scene. The technology simply wasn't as advanced yet to work on a ride system that carries large numbers of people around a stage. So the idea of harnessing the lightning in Edison Square were cancelled.
It's the biggest, they say, the most beautiful, the most awe-inspiring, the most colorful, the most spectacular event of this era, the New York World's Fair.
In the early 1960s, attractions and entertainment were being prepared for the 1964 World's Fair in New York City. A bunch of different companies had come far and wide from around the country to take part in the fair, and that included Disney. Disney had already been working on numerous different attractions for the fair, such as Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln for the state of Illinois, Ford's Magic Skyway for the Ford Motor Company, and It's a Small World for Pepsi-Cola, to salute and benefit UNICEF. While General Electric was finding options to make their pavilion for the fair, they reapproached Disney about reimagining the harnessing of the lightning idea. Wanting to regrow the relationship Disney had with General Electric, Disney would accept the offer and help General Electric work on Progress Land and a show called The Carousel of Progress. Similar to the harnessing of the lightning concept, the attraction was a 4-act show that took guests through different ages of electricity in the American household throughout history with the use of 32 lifelike audio animatronics. The attraction has 6 individual theaters that seats 260 people per room and rotates clockwise every 4 minutes from scene to scene. The carousel hostess would be voiced by singer and actor Rex Allen, and the show would have a 24-minute runtime in total. A song would be written specifically for the attraction. It was written by the Sherman Brothers and would go on to be an iconic Disney classic by the name of
So there's a great, big, beautiful at the end of every day. There's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow, just a dream away.
Well, it sounds pretty good. In fact, that's just the right spirit.
On April 22nd of 1964, the attraction debuted at the New York World's Fair in its own dedicated area known as Progress Land. The building was 3-storied and was 200 feet in diameter and 80 feet high. The first floor housed the Medallion City showcase that guests would see after experiencing the Carousel of Progress. Guests would enter the Carousel of Progress attraction by a moving ramp which would take guests to the second floor where the main show was. As guests would take their seats, the introduction begins as a specially composed musical overture plays through the medium of kaleidophonics. Directly ahead of guests on the first stage was a 12-foot high, 40-foot wide kaleidophonic screen that would play bright, shimmering lights that would change different colors. The theater would then rotate into Act 1, which would take place in the late 1890s.
When it becomes a reality, it's a dream come true for you and me. So there's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow, shining at the end of every day.
Well, the robins are back. That's a sure sign of spring. What year is it? Oh, just before the turn of the century. We've got all the latest things. Gas lamps, a telephone, and the latest design in cast iron stoves. It's hard to imagine how life could be any easier. But there's a new company, General Electric they call it, who are trying to bring the same power that runs the trolley into folks' homes. I don't know, but if those fellas work that out, one thing is certain. There's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow.
The theater then rotates into Act 2, which would take place in the 1920s.
Come true for you and me, so there's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow, just a dream away.
Hottest summer we've had in years. Well, we've progressed a long way since the turn of the century, 20 years ago, but no one realized then that this would be the age of electricity. You know, considering all the conveniences we have, it looks as though we progressed about as far as we can. But when we read about the things those research people at General Electric are working on, well, we can be sure of one thing.
There's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow, shining at the end of every day.
Then came Act 3, which was the 1940s.
It's a dream come true for you and me, so there's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow, just a dream away.
Well, it's autumn again, and the kids are back in school. Thank goodness. Now we're in the frantic 40s, and it's amazing how today's household appliances are helping to take over the hard work, like our new electric washing machine. It does about everything but hang up the clothes. And electric ranges are a big improvement over those early models of the 1920s. Yes, sir, it seems like these are the best years of our lives. Or does that sound like an echo from the past? Well, I guess it's about time to move on. All of us should know the song by now. Let's sing it together.
Oh, there's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow, shining at the end of every day.
Then came Act 4, which was the modern-day 1960s.
You and me, so there's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow, shining at the end of every day. There's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow, just a dream away.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. We were just reminiscing about Christmas in the old days when
Getting ready for the holidays meant hectic days of cleaning house and preparing extra food.
and as I started to say,
When Christmas Day arrived, I was too exhausted to enjoy it.
but today our new...
Yes, today our new all-electric home gives us lots more time to enjoy ourselves.
All of the appliances are improved today. Take a refrigerator. Why, I remember when
the man of the house had to work twice as many hours to earn one as he does today. And today we have a better product.
You took the words right out of my mouth, dear. Progress is something we can't take for granted. Progress takes a lot of people wanting it and willing to work for it.
There's a great, big,
beautiful tomorrow, shining at the end of every day. There's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow,
and tomorrow's just a dream away.
The theater then rotated into the unloading area, in which guests would walk through the middle of the theater to enter an escalator that took guests up to the 3rd floor of the building, which housed the Sky Dome Spectacular, a rotunda theater that projected a short film about man's historic search for energy sources. Guests would then move to the next room, which you would descend down a sloping ramp that encircles the 50-foot center well of the pavilion. Here they will see an actual demonstration of controlled nuclear fusion in a display designed by Disney and performed by GE scientists. Guests would then enter the Medallion City model, an all-electric community of displays showing the latest innovations from General Electric in home living, industry, power generation, space research, and other fields. Many of the displays also featured brief, live narrated shows. The 1964 World's Fair would only last a year, with it concluding on October 17th of 1965, and all of the Disney pavilions were packed up and ready to be shipped over to Disneyland, where they would find permanent home for It's a Small World in Fantasyland, Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln on Main Street, USA. The animatronics from Ford's Magic Skyway made it into the Primeval diorama on the Disneyland Railroad, and the Carousel of Progress, which would find its home in Tomorrowland. The Disneyland version of the Carousel of Progress would open on July 2nd of 1967, with the rest of Tomorrowland after a lengthy overhaul. The attraction itself was practically untouched from the version that was at the World's Fair, minus the Medallion City and the Sky Dome Spectacular. In replacement was the Progress City model showcase that was on the 2nd floor of the building. On October 1st of 1971, Walt Disney World opened to the public and became instantly successful. People from all over the world came to Florida just to see Disney World. General Electric thought that they were not getting most of their advertising dollars, surmising that of 80% of the people that saw the attraction were Californians who have seen it many times. So General Electric asked Disney to move the show to Walt Disney World, which they did in 1973. They closed the show in Disneyland on September 9th to be replaced with America Sings. Meanwhile in Florida, construction would begin on the new version of the show. The Carousel of Progress started construction at Magic Kingdom in late 1973, and the props and animatronics from California were shipped over to Florida to be installed. There was no 2nd floor added onto this version of the attraction, and the theater would instead rotate counterclockwise. While installing the attraction, General Electric was debating about keeping the Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow song, but decided to instead make a new song, written once again by the Sherman Brothers, by the name of
Now is the time, now is the best time, now is the best time of your life.
The song was sung by Andrew Duggan, who would be the new host of the show. The show would open on January 15th of 1975, with the rest of the newer updates that came to Tomorrowland. The first scene that featured the kaleidophonic screen in the original Disneyland and World's Fair version was replaced by a less impressive green curtain, which lifted up to reveal the General Electric logo. The first 3 acts of the show remained visually unchanged, besides a couple of minor changes. But the scene that has had the most changes was Act 4. Act 4 now took place in the modern-day 1970s during New Year's Eve. There's actually an unknown fact that a lot of people probably never knew, but Act 4 has had 2 separate changes to the character dialogue within a couple of years after opening.
Grandma, with Mother spending all of her time on the Clean Waters Committee, I may be the only one left with time to be good, Grandma. With Mother spending all of her time on the Clean Waters Committee, I may be the only one left with time to be good, Grandma. With Mother spending all of her time on the Clean Waters Committee, I may be the only one left with time to...
Different John's acting.
Thanking us for getting the bond issue passed.
You've done it again, Mom.
In my day.
Thanking us for getting the bond issue passed.
You've done it again, Mom.
In my day. Thanking us for getting the bond issue passed.
You've done it again, Mom.
In my day.
Different Sarah's acting.
Pretty good team.
But on your team.
Pretty good team.
But on your team.
Pretty good team.
But on your team.
Different Grandpa's and Janie's acting.
Trees are a gift. We shouldn't waste them. We should conserve, replant, and replace them.
You really do care about people. The world's forward marching, and you're in the parade.
You really do care about people.
The world's forward marching, and you're in the parade.
It's unsure how many changes were made to the scene after opening, but there's a great video by William Dervale that goes more into depth about this forgotten finale. I highly suggest you watch it if you want to learn more about the original version of Act 4. I'll link it down in the description. In 1981, Act 4 was updated once more to have new dialogue and costume designs to better fit the time period, as the 1980s had seen major stylistic change. On March 10th of 1985, General Electric's contract had expired for the attraction and had no interest in renewing it, and instead decided to sponsor the Horizons attraction at Epcot from 1983 until 1990. The Carousel of Progress would now run sponsorless, and all of the General Electric references would be removed.
Imagine how life could be any easier. There's a new company, General Electric they call it. We're working on bringing the same power that runs the trolley into folks' homes. Yeah, it looks as though we've made real progress in making our lives easier. And when we read about the things those research people at General Electric are working on, well, we can be sure of one thing. All of us at General Electric thank you for joining us and for helping us celebrate this day. And now, when you step outside, have the best time of your life. Happy New Day, everybody. It's hard to imagine how life could be any easier, but there's a new company working on bringing the same power that runs the trolley into folks' homes. You know, considering all the conveniences we have, it looks as though we've made real progress in making our lives easier. And when we read about the things those research people are working on, well, we can be sure of one thing.
We hope you'll enjoy your ride on the Carousel of Progress. Now, please gather your personal belongings, take small children by the hand, and exit through the same doors you entered.
For about 8 years, the attraction had not seen any new changes except for a small dialogue change in Act 4 in 1990. That was until mid-1993, when the attraction would close again for another overhaul. For a while, it was believed that the Carousel of Progress was actually going to be replaced by a Flying Saucers attraction, but it was later decided that the show was just going to get updated to better fit the new theme of Tomorrowland. On November 10th of 1993, the newly updated version of the attraction would reopen to guests. To the surprise of many guests, There's a Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow would return to the attraction after being absent from the ride for almost 30 years. The ride's name was also better fittingly changed to Walt Disney's Carousel of Progress to honor the man who started it all. A completely new soundtrack for the show would be composed by Paul Osterhout in the same tune of Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow, and the new host of the attraction would be voiced by radio host Gene Shepard. Acts 1 through 3 remain visually unchanged minus some small detail changes, but Act 4 was once again updated to better fit the current day 1990s. Rex Allen, the original voice actor of the host from the original World's Fair version of the attraction, would actually come back to voice the grandfather for Act 4.
Hey Trish, for a while we didn't even have a house phone. Not to mention laser discs and high-def TV, and everything is automated today.
Well, the robins are back. That's a sure sign of spring. What year is it? Oh, just before the turn of the century. And believe me, things couldn't be any better than they are today.
For 30 years now, the current version of the Carousel of Progress has been entertaining guests every day, inspiring new generations to dream of a great big beautiful tomorrow. So what do I think about the current state of the attraction? Well, in July of 2022, there was the addition of new clothing added to the characters in Act 4 to slightly modernize the scene that was clearly from the 1990s. As of February of 2024, I wouldn't say the attraction is in the best condition. The animatronics have been having slight malfunctions, and some props on set have been having issues too. What do I think the future for the attraction will look like? Well, I think that the attraction doesn't have long left to keep going, honestly. I think Disney is tired of maintaining the 60-year-old animatronics, and they're also tired of updating the ride every 2 decades. And I'm honestly surprised on how long the ride has stayed open for. In October of 2001, the show unexpectedly closed following the tourism crash of 9/11, and it did eventually reopen, but on a seasonal basis, which made some fans of the attraction scared as of what was going to happen with the ride, and multiple rumors spread about its permanent closure. However, Disney hadn't said anything about it permanently closing, and as of 2003, the attraction has become a regularly operated ride at the park. The show is technically Magic Kingdom's oldest running attraction in terms of the show itself. I don't think it's Disney's biggest priority to change the attraction right now, because I think they have other bigger projects to maintain and take care of at the moment, but I think eventually they'll get around to changing it. Anyways, that's going to mark the end of this video, guys. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. I've decided that I'm going to be instead uploading a video at the end of every month instead of every week. It's been creatively draining on me to create a video every week, and I like making these videos, educating people on different theme park attractions and history, but editing these videos can get very unmotivating at times. But regardless, I hope you guys are enjoying these videos, and I can't wait to make more of these. I also want to make more Disney TVA content, but I need more suggestions for videos, so if you have any video ideas, please leave a comment down below. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you all in the next one.